Sorry about that. We can all claim to be a little bit rusty after the break. I hope you had a great break. Mine was good. It was rejuvenating. Um, and I hope yours was too. We're really getting into spring now and the home stretch here. Stay healthy and safe and have an open mind when it comes to evolution. Um, I think it's fascinating from the standpoint that it ties together all of biology. Let me just set you up here for your assignment that you need to do at home. You're going to receive one of these in class. You've seen this before. This is our work turn-in sheet that you'll staple stuff behind and you'll eventually turn in to me. There's some state standards on here, and the first one up at the top there says State Standard 2.9a. Explain how Earth's diverse life forms evolved from common ancestors. Now, you might be able to do this and talk to me about how um, all the life that we see today, right? Rhinos and whales and bacteria and fungus and petunias, how they all came from common ancestors. But we're going to be studying this, and I'm going to give you some tools in order to make a coherent argument. There's a second state standard way up there at the top, State Standard 2.9e. Let me go to the next slide. We can read it. It says that you're going to have to generate a model, an evolutionary tree, showing how a group of organisms is most likely diverged from common ancestry. So it's easy to say, oh, everything is related, and look at these organisms have come from these precursor organisms, but you're going to actually have to build this and you're going to have to be able to justify it and say, this is the reason why this happens. If we were in class, I would show you this on the board. If this was the tree of life, suggesting how life evolved from a common ancestor, a single common ancestor, about 3 billion years ago, scientists deduce a single-celled organism in the primordial soup of our planet, which you can see that that organism went into different environments, and there were different organisms in those populations that were better suited for different environments, and those characteristics were reinforced through natural selection. And many generations went by, and organisms changed, and they changed so much that eventually they can no longer reproduce with one another. That's the definition of new species. And you can see here, we can eventually create the whole superstructure of life. You're going to have to create one of these, and I'll give you the tools to do that. I just want to give you the big picture here. But first, isn't Oscar cute? Well, what I found the easiest way to teach evolution is to have students study the organisms to which they most closely relate, and that are those are chimpanzees. We came from a common ancestor with the chimpanzee. It was neither a human nor a chimpanzee, but a different organism that no longer exists on our planet. And the point is that it's easiest for kids to kind of understand how natural selection takes place and how evolution and speciation occur if they can tangibilize it, and it's not some vague concept. So We're going to be talking about chimps and how they relate to humans. And um, if you were in class, I would have you read along with me, but instead, I'm just going to have you read by yourself the story of Jane Goodall. She's a research scientist from Britain, and she actually went to Berry Creek Middle School about 10 or 12 years ago for a lecture. They call her the chimp scientist or the chimp doctor because she lived with the chimps and she learned a ton about them. And there's an assignment here. I'd like you to read some pages in the BSCS book. This is the latter book, and I will put those pages on the Schoology. I will scan those pages and I'll place them here in Schoology for you to look at. Just answer these questions and then you're done. There is another bit of information called the Chimp Scientist on page 84. It just goes more into her um, life and what she experienced out there with the chimps. And it's important that you really try to put yourself into her shoes and think of some good quality questions that you would like to ask Dr. Goodall. That's it for today's remote work. Thanks, everyone. Make sure that you have a piece of paper that looks like this. At the top of it, how different are we? Put your name and date on it. There's a couple questions that I want you to answer. You will be stapling this to the back of that front sheet. So on line 1, you can write, how different are we, if you'd like. Okay, thanks. Good luck. Email me if you have any questions. And thanks for your attention.